Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, March 30th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Jong-un. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. President Moon Jae-in, the head of the WHO, and some 20 other world leaders have contributed to an op-ed stressing the need for the global health system to be enhanced to better tackle future pandemics. The White House made it clear Monday that President Joe Biden does not intend to sit down for talks with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And the giant container ship Ever Given that had been stranded in the Suez Canal is finally free after being stuck for nearly a week. We begin with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. The country reported 447 new cases on Tuesday, jumping back into the 400s after a slight fall the previous day. Of the new cases, 429 were locally transmitted and 18 were from overseas. 3 more people have died of the virus, raising the death toll to 1,729. Now, as for the vaccination campaign, a total of more than 822,000 people have been inoculated with their first jabs as of Tuesday. President Moon Jae-in, the head of the WHO, and around 20 other world leaders have contributed to an op-ed published by some major media outlets. In one voice, they said the global health system must be enhanced to better tackle future pandemics. Our Hong Yu reports.
World leaders say they agree that united action is needed for a more robust international health architecture, and they're pledging to work together on a new international treaty based on current health norms. President Moon Jae-in, at the request of the Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, contributed to an opinion piece on Tuesday, along with the leaders of around 20 other countries. The op-ed was published by numerous major media outlets. The WHO chief highly evaluated South Korea's COVID-19 countermeasures and its cooperation with global organizations to provide test kits. The article emphasized that a new treaty should mainly focus on countermeasures to a pandemic at local, regional, and global levels. Together, they hope to better predict, prevent, and respond effectively when another pandemic hits. It includes improving international cooperation on alert systems, data sharing, research, as well as production and distribution of medical and public health countermeasures, such as vaccines, treatments, test kits, and protective gear. The treaty also involves the concept of One Health, which connects the health of humans, animals, and the planet. They wrote that such a treaty must be guided by solidarity, fairness, transparency, inclusiveness, and equity. President Moon stressed during a speech last year at the World Health Assembly that the world can only overcome health crisis through global unity and cooperation. He also suggested revamping international health norms so the world can respond to new viruses more quickly and effectively. The Blue House said this joint contribution shows South Korea's status as a leading country in international health. It added that the South Korean government will actively cooperate with the international community for a detailed and substantial outcome. Hong Yu, Arirang News.
The head of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is warning that the country could be facing a 4th wave of COVID-19 as the average number of daily new cases has been ticking up. Now, elsewhere in South America, Brazil's COVID-19 death toll is spiraling out of control. Our Lee Seung-jae has more details.
Speaking at a virtual White House briefing Monday, the head of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention urged Americans against letting their guard down in the fight against COVID-19, warning that a 4th wave could be looming. According to Dr. Rochelle Walensky, cases have risen about 10% over the past week to about 60,000 cases a day. This is also leading to more hospitalizations and deaths. She warned that without proper action, the U.S. could follow Europe into another resurgence. Many health experts have warned the U.S. is far from achieving herd immunity. However, many states, including Texas, have already fully reopened, lifting epidemic prevention and control measures. They warn that when considering factors such as variant strains and asymptomatic cases, it's too early to lift measures in the U.S. In Brazil, the single-day death toll now accounts for a quarter of the world's daily COVID-19 deaths, far more than any other nations. Experts warn the country is on the brink of an even greater calamity. The country's 7-day average currently stands at 2,400 deaths, but could reach 3,000 within weeks. According to government data released Monday, Mexico's COVID-19 death toll is likely to be at least 60% higher than the confirmed number, putting it in excess of 300,000. Updated figures published by Mexico's health ministry show that by the end of the 6th week of 2021, 294,287 deaths associated with COVID-19 had been registered on death certificates. That figure was 61.4% higher than Mexico's confirmed death toll. Health experts say relatively low testing rates in Mexico mean many COVID-19 related deaths are not confirmed, but may still appear on death certificates as suspected cases. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
A single dose of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine has been shown to be 80% effective in preventing COVID-19 infections. This is according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It observed the effectiveness of the vaccines on 3,950 medical workers from December 14th last year to March 13th. The results showed 80% effectiveness after the first inoculation and 90% following the second. Pfizer previously said its vaccine was 95% effective. Moderna said its vaccine showed 94.1% efficacy. The United States says President Biden has no intention to sit down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. This comes as the White House said late last week that the administration's North Korea policy review is in its final stages. Our Kim Hyo-sun with more.
The White House made it clear Monday that President Joe Biden does not intend to sit down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Asked if Biden's diplomatic approach to the regime would include sitting down with the North leader like President Trump did, the White House said no.
I think his approach would be quite different, and that is not his intention.
This reaffirms that the Biden administration's North Korea policy will be different than the former administration, signaling there would be no high-profile, unconditional meetings with Kim. During his first press briefing since taking office, coming after Pyongyang's launch of a new type of tactical short-range ballistic missile, Biden stressed late last week that Washington remains open to diplomacy, but warned there would be a response if the regime escalates tensions. Also, during his final presidential debate with Trump in October last year, Biden underscored the need for denuclearization. Back then, he said he would only sit down with Kim if he pledged to reduce his nuclear capacity. Against this backdrop, the White House press secretary said last Friday that the Biden administration is in the final stages of its North Korea policy review, adding that it's in close coordination with South Korea and Japan. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
The North Korean leader's sister Kim Yo-jong has slammed South Korean President Moon Jae-in for his remarks on the North's recent missile launches, saying that his sentiments reflect Washington's gangster-like logic. In a statement released by the North's state-run news agency KCNA on Tuesday, Kim said it makes no sense for Moon to criticize the regime's self-defense missile tests after he described Seoul's own missile tests as a part of efforts to build peace. Also, for the first time, she described the North's recent launches as short-range ballistic missiles. Tuesday's statement also confirmed the change of her status, with KCNA referring to her as Vice Director of the Information and Publicity Department of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party. The U.S. is suspending all diplomatic trade with Myanmar following the country's bloodiest weekend since the coup began. U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai says the suspension of all bilateral engagement under their 2013 Trade and Investment Framework Agreement will remain in effect until the return of a democratically elected government. Under the agreement, the U.S. cooperated with Myanmar on trade and investment to support the Southeast Asian nation's integration into the global economy. The suspension is effective immediately. And also referring to the weekend's violence, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Monday strongly condemned the junta, calling their acts absolutely unacceptable. The UN chief called for more unity and commitment from the global community to reverse the situation. There's finally movement through the Suez Canal after the massive container ship blocking the waterway was successfully refloated. The Ever Given ship had been lodged there for nearly a week, causing an enormous logjam that wreaked havoc on global supply chains. Our Kim Jae-hee reports.
The giant container ship Ever Given that had been stranded in the Suez Canal is finally free after being stuck for nearly a week. Egypt's Suez Canal Authority said on Monday local time that Ever Given was successfully refloated and that marine traffic in the canal will resume. The dislodging comes after rising tide helped tugboats shift the vessel. The international maritime community was reassured by the news. The massive container ship had been stuck blocking the vital waterway since last Tuesday, causing disruption to global shipping. Hundreds of trapped vessels have been waiting in agony to restart their journeys, with every passing day blocking an estimated $10 billion in trade. As traffic resumes in the Suez Canal, stranded ships are expected to be allowed through on a first-come, first-served basis. The traffic jam in one of the world's biggest trade routes is likely to be cleared in the following days. Meanwhile, Russia's Sputnik news agency says Egypt will demand compensation from the owner of the Ever Given for all the consequences of the grounding of the vessel, such as the full cost of the use of tugs. Sputnik cited the Egyptian president's aid on the development of seaports and the Suez Canal as its source. The accident is estimated to have cost Egypt around $14 million a day. Kim Jae-hee, Arirang News.
The government has launched a service that allows people to conveniently check information on COVID-19 vaccinations on a smartphone. The so-called public secretary provides information on vaccination dates and necessary precautions through familiar channels such as Naver and KakaoTalk. Our Jong has more details.
Starting April 1st, South Korea will ramp up its vaccination program by rolling out COVID-19 vaccines to people aged 75 and up. But for many, finding out when they'll receive the shot and what to be aware of after the jab is not so easy. To help these people, the government has developed a service called the Public Secretary. Through this service, people will be able to receive notifications on their vaccination information through channels including Naver, KakaoTalk, and Toss. People can register for the service while making reservations for the shots through a public official. A day before receiving the jab, the vaccination date and location will be confirmed via message. On the day of vaccination, information on precautions will be provided, and 3 days after the shot, people will receive instructions on how to cope with any adverse reactions. 3 weeks prior to the second shot, people will be informed to make advance reservations. And again, people will receive notifications a day before, on the day, and 3 days after the second vaccination. In total, people will receive information 7 times until the inoculation process is complete.
At least we think that people will not miss out on the time, place, and other essential information regarding vaccinations. And we think that vaccinations can be made much easier and more conveniently for all citizens.
In addition to information on COVID-19 vaccinations, the service also notifies people with 7 other types of frequently used administrative information, such as those related to traffic fines, driver's license renewal, and health checkups. People can make payments directly through the service as well. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety plans to improve the service by considering the public's opinion and will also increase convenience by adding 30 more types of information. Jong, Arirang News.
Good morning. Korea was trapped in the worst yellow dust storm in 11 years yesterday. Well, things have gotten a bit better since then, but stagnant airflow did keep yesterday's yellow dust hovering all over the country. What's worse, fine and ultrafine dust moved into the country, pushing both fine and ultrafine dust levels to unhealthy levels across the country, with dust alerts imposed pretty much everywhere. While Jeju is also under fine and ultrafine dust warnings today. It will be warmer today. Single-digit morning lows will jump more than 10 degrees by the afternoon, and Seoul will be getting up to 18 degrees, Gyeongju at 22 degrees this afternoon, but mostly sunny skies will be blurred out by the dust. Nothing to complain about regarding the warm temperatures, but dust levels will remain high through Thursday. Then this weekend looks to be another rainy one nationwide. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
That will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
No one is safe from the dangers of COVID-19. Recent